All right, so here we are today, me and Kevin, in our version of Hot Rod Garage.
Yeah.
Not so custom auto. I don't know something.
That's right.
Whatever you want to call it.
No tattoos, so we can't have our own show.
We should have got those some sleeves or whatever.
That's right.
Dang it, messed up on that. Anyway, we're here today. We're gonna put a 347 stroker into a 65 Ford Mustang. So they say working on 347 stroker. It's a built from a 5.0 roller block, 1990 I think. It's your typical 347. I think it's got a cast eagle rotating assembly. Got a set of AFR 185 Renegades on it. Probably about a 435 horse motor, something like that. But anyway, we're going to be putting it into a 65 Mustang today. Nothing real special about it. Car's still all stock suspension, all steel. Still got the C4 transmission, the 8-inch Ford in it. So we're going to just kind of document today, putting this little 347 in this car. So hope you enjoy. What kind of you guys can ride along today, and let's check it out.
Torquing the flywheel, flex plate.
Torquing bolts to 85 foot-pounds. They're standard half-inch bolts, fine thread. Torquing to 85. I believe that's all of them. Okay. So one of the things I'll try to do with the Ford is, because they do have studs in the converter, I'll line up my studs straight up and down. You see I even got a mark here. And then I'm going to do the same on my flex plate. We're going to rotate this flex plate around until we can get it lined up.
Okay, there's the tool over there on the fender.
What do I gotta do?
Or you want to do it on the front? Oh, look at this.
Is that straight up?
Keep going. No, a little more. A little more. Oh,
A little too far?
We'll go back just a little bit. If you can, we'll turn it with that. But it is close. Come here and look at this. It's, well, there's your, what do you think?
Pretty cool. Bring it back a little
Bring
bit.
back maybe a tooth?
We'll use my fancy overpriced snap-on tool.
Yeah.
Kind of got that straight up and down there.
Yep.
And then we'll try to, hopefully that'll help us go in.
Hopefully you can get into those 4 studs. That's a kind of a Ford thing. Mopars don't have that.
Another thing is, if you're new to this, guys, something also very important when you're putting an engine in is make sure your converter is pushed back into the bell housing. You got like 2 or 3 steps depending on what it is. There's your input shaft. There's your pump cogs that runs your pump. Make sure that you take, and what I oftentimes do is I'll grab this converter and I'll lift up a little bit and I'll turn, lift up and turn, lift up and turn. Like now on this one, I can feel, if I spin it, I can hear my pump pumping oil, and I can feel the converter getting some resistance in it. Very important to do. If you don't get that converter pushed all the way back and you force it together, you'll oftentimes break the pump in the front of the transmission. So very important to get that thing pushed back in.
As you can see, we use the latest technology.
Fresh out of the 1930s.
Yeah, 1930s. It still works. Still works to this day.
Kevin? You're getting pretty close.
You know, had that on a beam where we could just roll it.
Yeah,
now.
that'd be nice.
Okay, ready?
I'd say it.
Wait, are we still the block under the wheel?
Yeah, let me get that. I've got that. If you got a little premature, put my jack under the wheel. I'm not ready yet.
Okay.
We're ready to go in.
And I guess the car's pretty lined up, but it's probably where you pulled it, right?
Yeah, it's.
Okie dokie.
What I
I'll
typically
just hold the car a little bit, though, in case we might need to adjust a little. Okay, hold.
usually, Kevin, about right
there.
a little further ahead. About right there is where it needs to be.
Okay, hold on. We on?
We're on.
We're on. Yay.
Okay, so
we're in.
We're in. We just got it set down in. Wasn't too awful bad. I put a stud down on this the bottom driver's side corner of the bell housing to kind of guide it in. Kevin got underneath and lined up the converter studs and just a little bit of wiggling, and went in. Slowly worked the trans jack down and the engine lift down, and got the bolts in it, sitting down on the mount. So that wasn't too awful bad.
Oh no.
Kevin was down, laying down. He just woke up.
It's great. I just woke up. We call that senior citizen abuse. Oh my gosh, ain't even my nap time yet. Getting close.
You right? All right. So.
Okay, we're good there. These are these the ones that go in the top?
That's the starter bolts.
Okay,
Kevin.
starter bolt.
Those are the two down there.
This is not the upper one? Is this
No,
one
the
the
upper one, there's a nitrous feed line on this thing somewhere. I want to say, maybe it fell down. Should I find that there?
Nitrous feed line.
Nitrous feed line.
He just said that in passing like it was nothing.
Where did that thing go to?
These are probably your motor mount bolts, I take it.
Those motor mount bolts.
Yep.
Those there on the fender we had in your hand a minute ago.
Here.
Starter bolts.
These are starter. Then you've got a short one here. That's probably for one of the cover bolts, probably that.
That goes on the back of the cylinder head to hold the dipstick in place.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, I understand. Let me get those out.
Got getting the starter put on. Gonna put it on before we put the headers on, because headers kind of cover that up. But Kevin's under there sticking the starter on, just 2 3/8 bolts I think, and we good to go. Putting the rest of the bell housing engine bolts now. I'm going around putting all those in. Kevin said Kevin's finishing up the starter on it. Should get that in, we'll maybe lower the transmission jack down a little bit more.
Yeah.
That should go on a bolt hole. Oh, sorry, Kevin.
Wow.
No, sorry.
But
Not here safety last
I
night.
still got the cat-like reflex.
Yeah, that could have been cost you your life if you didn't.
Yeah, I got my Walmart real glasses on.
So, while we're working here, a little bit of commentary. I'm gonna put together, and I haven't done it yet. I thought about putting together a little bit of a how to build engine performance, and some of the things that I've done to this engine. My background is I was an engine development engineer for Caterpillar for several years, and I really enjoy internal combustion. Thinking about putting together maybe a 3-part series on the different steps to make engine performance and some of the things that you do as far as compression ratio, cylinder head, induction as far as valve and intake port sizes, combustion chamber size, and then go into some camshaft stuff. So you might check out my page for that. Kevin, maybe if I buy him lunch, he'll add a link down to that at the bottom of this video. But Central Illinois Streetcar Shootouts, I want to put together a 3-part series on engine performance. That sometimes I see guys I'll make a post that, what camshaft do I run? Well, you should really never have to ask somebody that. You can really, it's all math, and you can figure it out yourself if you just a couple of equations and a couple of things, and you can get that answer on your own. So be looking for that. Maybe I'll try to get that out here in the coming months on a little how-to on pick your right parts and to build engine performance. So be checking that out. So you would give me a like on my page and just follow, and when I get it updated, you'll see it. So. Okay, Kevin, I probably need to lower the transit engine down a little bit more whenever or maybe I'll wait till you're done underneath
Let me get
it.
my hand in there, and then you can...
Get my hand in there, yeah.
Starter's tight,
Starter.
and the dipstick mounting bolt is tight.
Okay.
But we haven't got no converter.
Can you
go
get
ahead
it?
and pull the jack out if
Can
you
you
want.
get a converter bolt in it, Kevin? If I give you a converter nut.
Yeah, I can do them all. And all we gotta do is turn them over.
Okay.
I do them all. Is this it?
Yeah.
I thought those had the ones that had like a washer made on it.
No, they're not that fancy.
Okay. I didn't remember.
I'm gonna get you a socket. So he's putting the torque converter bolts in now. We'll turn the engine as we do it.
And since they're studs, I should be able to tighten them all the way originally.
I think so. That's what I typically
With the
do.
bolt style, you gotta leave them all a little bit loose till you get them all started, or you can't. There's just enough wiggle room where they won't line up. You know? Yeah, go ahead and get this jack out of my way if you want.
That jack out of your way?
Yeah.
So you guys probably heard us talk about it earlier. One of the things that you do if you leave the transmission in the car, we take a jack and we put it underneath the transmission pan with a block of wood and jack the transmission up. That way the transmission comes up and it's a bit of an angle, so as the engine approaches it, they'll come together. Now that we've got them in, all bolted in, we're going to go ahead and pick the jack out. Engine is down. I'm going to maybe leave it up, because that way I don't smash you underneath there.
Okay.
I'm not going to put any more pressure
Then
down.
I can get the motor mount bolts eventually after we get this.
When you get that tight, Kevin, I'll go ahead and turn the motor on
Yeah.
for you up here.
Yeah, there's one.
There's
Go
one?
ahead. Yep. But you want to put a torque wrench on it. I didn't.
That'd be no.
I just got them good. That's good.
Good and tight?
Good and tight. Yeah. That's what Joey's doing.
You've mechanic a lot longer than I am. You say it's tight, it's tight.
Yeah. I used to know her. I used to know her. Good and tight. Okay. Of course, I'm not as strong as I used to be. You want to make sure you don't want to sabotage you here.
Yeah, I didn't think
Don't
about
worry
that.
about it.
I didn't think about that.
Don't worry, I'll lose to you fair and square. Go ahead.
Another one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now these are easier since this is the only part about this style that's easier.
Right.
Because the studs are still good. That's good.
Okay.
Studs are sticking through. The other ones are a little more tedious. Not bad though. Okay, one more.
Ready for another one? Okay.
And you stayed with the external balance on your crankshaft?
Yeah, it is. This is a.
That's good.
So, this is a 28 ounce imbalance, as Kevin was mentioning. And one of the things that a couple people always talk about the 5-liter Ford and how weak they are, and they are a weak block. And one of the things that I've heard over and over again that I've always done is very important. Even if your rotating assembly does say it's balanced, take the engine when you're getting it done to get it balanced. Take it to the machine shop and have them balance it, because it's one of the things that will wreck these engines if it's not balanced. They're pretty weak blocks, so a good point is to take your all your piston, rod, crank, harmonic balancer, and flex plate to the machine shop and have it balanced when you're all done. So you'll have a lot better luck with it.
You do that tight, right?
That's gonna be tough.
Unless you got some fancy reverse rotation engine.
I might. I'll tell you about that part.
Oh yeah.
So we're putting on a set of, these are Doug's tri-Y headers, 1 5/8 primary tube.
This is the fun part, headers.
Yeah. And I usually fit them up through the bottom.
Okay, the header bolts are near me, or oh, here they are. I see them. I got them. The header bolts are near me,
You're probably getting pretty close, aren't you, Kevin?
like the sheriff. Okay, yeah. Okay. I could probably, let's see. I'm gonna go ahead, I should be able to slide that gasket in, right? With the,
Yeah.
that slotted in. Well, boy, this ain't no fun. Mine don't go in that easy. And the steering linkage out, and the front tube comes loose. So,
Little tip I do on putting headers on
this is nice.
a 65 Mustang is,
Have
I
somebody
put
else
the
do it?
I have somebody else. The first thing you want to do is have someone else do it like him. But what you always do is put your very forward bolt in and your very rearward bolt in, and you just hang them on there. and you only put them in about a thread or so. And then you want to put in your second bolt from the front. That is the most difficult bolt to install. But you hang put your very front and your very rear bolt in the headers, let them hang by just one thread or so, and then work on that second bolt from the front. Try to get that in. The same for both sides, because that is the most difficult bolt to install. But he's working on hanging them now. He's putting the back one in right now. He'll put the front one in, and then he'll put that number 2 bolt in. And usually they're not too bad.
Yeah. After I put the gasket in, then I'll put the number 2 bolt in. And whatever you do, don't leave me hanging.
Don't leave me hanging. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
So we had to jack just the side of the car up a little bit. Every header is a little bit different. Like I said, these are a set of
right there.
These are a set of Doug's tri-wise, but we had to jack the car up just a little bit to get clearance on the floor. But got it in.
By try why we mean we tried and we tried, and why didn't they fit? We jacked the car up and it went.
I don't think that's what Carol Shelby intended that to mean, but whatever. We'll go.
Try as you will.
We'll go.
You're just not going to get them
them
on there with the car on the ground. You tried and tried.
We can let it back.
Better now?
in.
Okay.
Okay. So I got another set of plugs, and they are NGKs, but I do run auto lights quite a bit. I've ran them for years.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Were they gapped at about 45?
Yeah.
I'll give
45 is a little tight.
I'll give you mine. Let's check the gap on them.
You're right at 45, kind of a tight 45. Is that what you want?
Yeah, that's fine.
That one needs a little bit more. That one probably hit the piston.
So I'm running Autolite AR3924. They call it's some, I don't know, whatever. It's a 3924 Autolite. It's what I typically run in small block Fords. Kevin's checking them for 45 gap. And always, you guys probably know this. I don't know what your experience level is, but if you're new to this, be careful tightening spark plugs too tight in aluminum. I always, if I can, I got a little small compact torque wrench. I torque them to 200 inch-pounds is all I torque them to. So if you can get it in there.
That's inch pounds.
That's inch-pounds. I see that gapper, Kevin.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, foot-pounds might be a little bit much, but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the first time you put these new plug in, you can feel that washer crush. You'll tighten it, you push it a little more, and you'll feel that crush. And after you take it out again, you don't feel that.
Yeah, these have been installed a couple different times, so I don't have that sensation here.
But we give you a different angle there. No fuel injection yet.
No, still the old knuckle drag and stuff.
That's right. That's what we like.
The old knuckle drag and carburetor. Old $150 Craigslist special.
Hey, it'd only be $2,000 to put fuel injection on it. It'd probably run about the same. It might start a little easier, but it'll probably run about the same.
Yeah, that's the truth.
I've been involved in a couple of conversions, and the people that had it, they're, for the average person, it does make it nice for them.
It makes it more drivable.
You get used to driving like our regular vehicle, where you just get in it hot or cold, he starts the same every time.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, I will get, that's tight, you're doing that, I guess the radiator?
Yeah, we can put the radiator in next. The hose is still on, both the hoses are still on, Kevin.
Okay. You can tighten the radiator, you're going to tighten the carburetor. I'll tighten the radiator, and then that'd be a pretty good stopping point, I think. Yeah, if you get hungry, I'm a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine. Where is
My Ensure has worn off. And my 2 cups of coffee.
I can get some more coffee. I can make us a pot of coffee this afternoon.
Yeah, that's fine, whatever. I've kind of got hooked on our little Keurig machine there.
Oh yeah.
You may just, whenever you want a cup of coffee, you just go get one.
I know.
It
My,
spoil you, man.
My kids, Carly, Andy got a Keurig, and I go down there. It's just, yeah, you just put a cup underneath there and pop one in.
Yes.
You got a cup of coffee.
You find the different brands that you like, and the Great Value Walmart brand. They got 2 versions of it, and they're both good. One's a little stronger than the other, and I buy them both.
So tighten up carburetors. Sometimes carburetors do not need to be very tight at all. One of the things I've learned is go back and forth and crossover. Don't tighten one bolt real tight to start. Kind of work your way around them. These bases, Kevin's a carburetor master. He's probably seen hundreds of these bases that have breaking ear off. The key is just a little bit, work your way side to side, back and forth. Just kind of work your way around it.
You're using a 1/4-inch drive ratchet.
I'm using just a little 1/4-inch drive ratchet.
Yeah, it's got it choked up on it too.
I see. Yeah, you don't need very much on these things at all. Just nice and easy on them is all they need. Don't get a 1/2-inch ratchet. They don't need to be very tight at all.
That's right.
Well, we just got back from lunch, as you can tell by my toothpick, and we're putting the finishing touches on her. We're getting close. Just got through hooking up the coil, wires, and doing the coolant temp sensor and throttle linkage and throttle return springs. And whatever else I may have forgot to mention. So this thing has to have 3 bolts in it?
Yeah.
Straight? Oh my gosh.
No, I think I might have. Added one.
That's why I thought, oh,
when
we're
I
good.
put mine, I probably added that
That's fine.
for my radiator core.
That works. I see now.
I had a bunch of transmission troubles with this thing. It turned out something important. We kind of maybe glossed over it a little bit when we put the engine in this thing, because I've had this combination together several times. But if you're building a new combination, it's a new transmission, a new engine, especially your converter and your flex plate. A couple generations back, I had a problem where I didn't have enough clearance. Oh, he got cut. It's going to cost me an extra.
It's going to cost him.
Probably going to cost me a sundae or ice cream cone at lunch today. But anyway, when you're putting your combination together, you should always have clearance between your torque converter and your flex plate. The engine I had before this, I had a converter. I'm not going to say who it was because they're good people. The converter was made a little bit off, and what was happening is when I put it together, it was too tight, and it was pushing. The flex plate was pushing the converter into the transmission. Ultimately, it was pushing it into the pump, and it was wrecking the pump in the transmission. So, pretty important to make sure that you check that dimension if it's a new combination. So that converter should actually pull ahead a little bit when you tighten up the bolts. I think Kevin was down there when he tightened up bolts. He felt that converter. He felt that converter come up to that flex plate. You want to be sure that you have that happening. What I was saying is I wrecked a bunch of transmissions, and I filled the radiator has a transmission cooler in it, but it's full of debris because I wrecked so many transmissions. So I ended up putting a separate transmission oil cooler on this thing to keep from getting all that junk back into my nice clean transmission. So that's why I have a
The
separate.
best idea too, yeah, that's for sure.
So, something you might run into. So we're getting ready to put cool in the car. We got everything hooked up. We got all of our heater hoses, bottom hoses, radiator petcocks closed. One trick a mechanic taught me years ago is I go ahead and I take my top radiator hose off the car. I take it off my thermostat housing, and then carefully, gently, you take a screwdriver in your thermostat housing neck, and you push your thermostat open just a little bit of coolant in it. I'm gonna grab my water bottle so Ken will have it.
There you go.
But you can show the shot there.
Had to get the camera a different angle there. He's got that screwdriver to open the thermostat. That way the air will start coming out as he's pouring it in, and you don't have all that purging that up and down, and you always have to put a pan under the radiator because it's going to sit there and belch and belch and belch.
The other thing you can do too is you can take this top hose. You can take this top hose off the heater core, and that's the top. It'll just vent it out for you.
So we're going to put a little Mountain Dew in there.
A little bit of Mountain Dew.
Sugar-free, of course.
Mm-hmm.
While he's pouring that, I'm going to take a quick pan over here. You guys can see now we've done all this. You know, we paused the camera and we've went and had lunch. So, but we've done all this probably in about 3 hours, maybe 3.5.
Yeah, probably something like that. We didn't start till about 11,
And we were
Took
going
off
to
for
lunch
lunch.
about
and 1 o'clock.
about 1:30 or so. We went to lunch. So we'll making some noise here pretty quick. All right, he's putting the last of the coolant in there, and we're going to give it one final look over, and I think we're getting close. Putting a little bit of charge on the battery while we're doing this.
Yeah, so I went ahead and I had the water, had the coolant coming out of the thermostat neck as he showed you earlier. So I went ahead and pulled the screwdriver out and stuck my top hose on and filled it the rest of the way up. We should have most of the air out of the, pushed its way out of the block now, so we won't get an air lock in there and an air bubble.
If we can get these tools off the fender.
Yep.
Here's your radiator lid cap. I'll leave it right there. We are on. We're on live and on tape.
Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and jump across the solenoid. We got the car in park. It's got oil in it. It's got antifreeze in it. We're just going to spin the motor over right now with no fuel in it or no ignition just to make sure everything sounds okay. And before we go ahead and try to give it a start. So here we go. Sound too bad?
Sounds better than it did.
With the two-piece
With
crankshaft?
with a two-piece crankshaft. Yeah. Okay.
All right. We will go ahead and
Turn the fuel pump on.
turn the fuel pump on, give her a couple cranks.
Yep. And see what happens. This will be the first time. Timing should be set, and it should
Timing should be close, yeah.
close enough to light her up.
I don't have a dipstick in it, but I know it's okay. I put 5 quarts of oil in it, so it's got oil in it. Okay, so do you want to? One of us want to watch the oil pressure gauge in the car?
Yeah, you can. I'm going to watch this. I can watch your line here too. I can see the oil coming up to the line whenever you.
Okay.
Probably by the time you get fuel up to it, the oil pressure ought to be up.
I'll just hop in the car and watch it too.
Yeah,
I think we're ready, aren't we,
Yeah,
Kevin?
hop in the car. I'll walk. If something's going on out here, I'll flag you down. Okay? I think we're okay. Turn the pump on, and we'll make sure we don't have a fuel leak.
Yeah, I'll do that. Key on the user in the back. It's gonna be loud.
Darn it. Okay. See that, baby? She's spitting a little bit. She's not quite full yet. Almost. We got fuel.
Okay,
We're going for it.
try it.
Yeah. Make a few adjustments. That was a real deal there. No faking. That fired right up.
About 60 pounds of oil pressure.
Hooking the exhaust up, back down on the ground again. How's it look, boss?
Looking pretty good right now. I think we're just about ready to sit the hood on, and I think we about got it. Like you said, we had it fired up.
Well, let's
Sounds
get her.
too bad.
Ready to put her back down?
All right, we're gonna go ahead and set the timing on it. What I typically do is, and I do it more for performance than anything, is get your engine running, and then raise your engine speed. Like this distributor still has mechanical advance weights in it. It does not have any vacuum advance. But the vacuum advance, you disconnect your vacuum advance, and then you take your engine speed up until you see you'll watch your timing advance on your balancer and your mark to where it's not advancing anymore. And that means you've achieved your maximum advance from raising speed. This thing gets maximum advance probably around 2,500 RPM. When the distributor's weights have gone to where it's at full advance, I generally set my timing around 34 degrees before top dead center. So what we'll do is we'll start it up, we'll raise the engine speed up a little bit, we'll set it to right around 34 degrees, and we'll lock it down, and it'll end up where it ends up at idle essentially. But for performance, if you're doing the performance, that's typically what I advise. Rev your engine up until you get full advance on your distributor. Set it to around, people say between 34 and 36 naturally aspirated on pump gas, but I don't ever see a whole lot from 36. I stay more around 34, 35 degrees.
That's where my little Mopar likes it, right at 35.
And so much of this stuff is not about whether it's a Ford or a Chevy or Mopar. It just comes down to physics, and that's what it is. So
That's what they like.
34 to 35 is about where an engine wants to run at. So
And when you run nitrous, though,
you want to take out, what, 4 degrees for every 100 horsepower shot?
something like that, yeah. So you'd only be running somewhere around, what,
A lot of times,
20s, in the upper 20s, mid upper 20s,
yeah, if you're
probably.
up in 250 shot, you're probably in that upper 20s on timing if you're going to run that. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well,
You
we'll do it.
Let's fire it up. If you want, I'll fire it up so you can keep it running with the throttle.
Okay.
It'll run very smooth.
All right.
I think we got wheel pressure. Should be all right.
It came up pretty quick on the. Go ahead. Pretty good back here. Hey, we're going for some ice cream. Come on with us. We're on our way. Let's roll.
See my GPS.
The original GPS right there.
Yeah. I just calibrated it.
Sounding pretty good there, buddy.
It's not bad.
RPMs and oil gauges look good.
Got about 60 pounds of oil pressure. Plenty strong on oil pressure right now. Engine's staying pretty cool. Sounds decent.
Well, here we are. Where else would you go besides a drag strip or a drive-in root beer stand for your first road test?
Don't know. Can't say.
That's right. Well, we're going to order something. We're going to enjoy the fruits of our labor.